Hey, don't get any ideas. Yeah, that's right. Today, we're talking about the funny Goose Game because I felt like it. I need a break from stinky mascot horror. For anyone living under a rock, Untitled Goose Game was the huge indie hit of 2019. It's alright if you forgot or didn't know, I've lived under a rock in many ways.
Florida's not a swing state!
Something about this game's premise just hit home with everyone. Unknown Australian indie studio House was behind Untitled Goose Game. Finally, another export to carry Australia's economy other than Bluey. They published a trailer in the summer of 2018 and people were immediately hooked. It spread incredibly quickly. The simple premise of playing as an annoying goose terrorizing innocent civilians gripped people immediately. The game's reveal trailer even got to the top of Reddit. Oh goody, the Redditors approve! It feels like we've been in an indie game renaissance.
I happen to agree, Danerade.
With indie games toppling over AAA releases. Take last year's most popular indie title, Balatro, with it casually sweeping the Game Awards. I'm not saying an award show is the only measure of a game's quality. Honestly, it's not that great of an indicator. But the fact that non-Bloc Québécois voter Local Thunk completely blew up the gaming scene by getting everyone addicted to playing goofy jokers and illegal poker hands proves that indies can have this magical touch. Though we usually only hear about those that reach the masses, the unfortunate truth is that thousands of small games are published constantly, and very few make a lasting impact. Just take one glance at the Nintendo eShop. They put this on here?! Untitled Goose Game certainly hit a cultural significance that most indie games never achieve. Companies try to be hip and relatable all the time. It doesn't always work out. House's goose character was ripe for meme material. These images specifically got big around the game's release. It's one thing if the game has a fun concept and simple art style, but it's preferable if the gameplay actually stands on its own. After some delays and persistent anticipation, Untitled Goose Game was released on September 20th, 2019 on the Epic Games Store and the Nintendo Switch. Coincidentally, Nintendo had a major release of their own on the same day, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening Remake. Zelda is great, but the world thought the Goose Game was worth buying more than the Game Boy remake. The game's high sales weren't just in some parts of the world. Sure, it was #1 in Australia because, they want to diversify their exports other than Iron and Bluey, but it was #1 on the Nintendo eShop in the good old US of A. Was the hype warranted, or were these all impulse purchases based on the funny premise? Only one way to find out.
Damn! Minnesota loves Klobuchar.
The game innocently begins in a peaceful landscape with trees and bushes. Peaceful? Well, not anymore. Look at how the goose's head is animated here. You already know he's up to no good. We get a quick tutorial on our abilities, picking up objects, bending down, and honking. Yes, that is right. Honking is given its own dedicated button. These abilities aren't just for show, except for flapping your wings. You're not going to use that for puzzles very often. All of the goose's abilities are integral to this game's puzzle solving. Speaking of puzzles, it brings up the point of defining the game's genre. It's easiest to describe it as a puzzle game, but it feels like its own thing. Maybe just playing as a goose is throwing me off, but sneaking up on people feels like a stealth mechanic, and the Steam page lists the game not with puzzle, but rather funny and villain protagonist. I mean, those aren't wrong descriptors. After a quick tutorial, we're thrown right into the action. We swim and waddle around a beautiful lake with some lily pads, vegetation, and a picnic blanket. What a peaceful setting to contrast the torture we're about to enact. The gameplay loop is quite simple. Each area of the game has a list of tasks we must complete as the goose. And when I say tasks, I mean terrorizing and ruining everyone's day as much as possible. Now, while that's the official goal of the game, weirdly, Untitled Goose Game also feels like a sandbox. It's fun to wander around as a goose, pick up and interact with objects, and just literally walk around the world. All the objects in the world stay in their position. I can't emphasize enough that playing as this goose character is funny. This is also where most of the humor comes from, seeing the goose interact with the world. Whether it be picking up heavier objects and seeing them drag, or simply having a stare down with the humans, everything feels grounded in reality that, yeah, some people probably probably wouldn't care about a goose wandering around, and some would. The first area, the garden, is a fantastic beginning to the game. It eases you into the main gameplay loop. The groundskeeper has a passive AI. He'll only come after you if he sees you've stolen something. Besides that, he just minds his own business, maintaining his beautiful garden. I got him wet. The tasks here are simple and easily understandable. Get into the garden, steal the groundskeeper's keys, and the iconic rake in the lake. Area 2 ups the ante with the high street, which means more humans and more things to steal. The residents are more reactive this time. The poor English boy is scared to death of you, and the shopkeeper will broom you out of her shop. Take that, bitch! There are multiple ways to solve puzzles, or at least aid you in completing your to-do list. Take these walkie-talkies that can be strategically placed. Honking in one will make noise on the other one, distracting and drawing attention to it. I told you the honk was an integral mechanic. It's not just there for the funsies. Area 3, the back gardens, sees two neighbors peacefully enjoying their afternoon. Here, we see the merging of two worlds and the need to use items from one backyard to the other. This is the best section of the game. Highlights include the comically large bell, and tricking the woman into dressing us up is great. We've also got this fantastic scene where we pick up the woman's bra and Goose, you can't do that! But then later, the man wants the bra. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Welcome to Untitled Sex Appeal Game. It's a good opportunity to point out that the game's music is adapted from pieces by French composer Claude Debussy. It has this playful yet sometimes sinister vibe, perfect for our villain protagonist. This also means that if you look up any recording or playing of Debussy's songs, the comment section will be filled with people mentioning a particular goose. I wonder what this French guy thinks about his work being associated with this. I am happy that they picked a bit of a lesser known composer. He has some famous pieces, most notably Clair de Lune, but if this game had, I don't know, Mozart's Turkish march playing, it would throw me off. The music dynamically adapts to what's happening. Dynamic music is nothing new. Some games use it better than others. Looking at you, unnecessary thinking themes from the TTYD remake. While others, like Damn It, Balatro again, use the same theme but different instruments depending on what part of the game you're on. The action rises when shenanigans happens. It's well done, though it can sometimes feel a little off in niche cases. Area 4, the pub, is our most challenging setup yet. We've got tons of people to interact with. This guy straight up doesn't want us to enter. The old man runs faster than Sonic once you steal his harmonica. The restaurant owner gets all pissy once you go up the stairs into our restaurant. I don't see any customers. Maybe she should focus on that instead of the goose roaming around doing nothing wrong. This is the true culmination of everything, with the trickiest and vaguest tasks yet. Get the toy boat requires us to let the sink run for the boat to rise. Be awarded a flower involves copying what these two ladies signal us to do. And make the old man fall on his bum reminds me Australians made this. I love Australian food. Hold on, stop. What's going on here? Well, I am proud to announce the brand new Danerade refresh. Introducing Danerade. Yes, this is how I'm going to look from now on. Thank you so much to Muzz Yoshi for heading the redesign process and drawing all the new stills. Additionally, the new character design means this one render of Paper Bowser I've been using all these years will go away now. It's kinda sad, like the end of an era. But I also apologize if I've brainwashed your mind into playing any Paper Mario game and thinking, Danerade? Thanks once again to Muzz Yoshi for all your hard work, and back to the video. Once we have just terrorized the absolute bejesus out of this little English town, the game's final act sees us not against some super intimidating or antagonistic threat. We find ourselves in a tiny miniaturized version of the village we've been terrorizing. Walking around all the places we've scarred, but now in miniaturized form, is fun. That is, until we see a tiny person looking at an even smaller version of the village, which is so weird. Is the Untitled Goose Game world just one never-ending enigma where there's a smaller and smaller version of itself? Does Untitled Goose Game have lore? No. No, it does not. We go to this castle and destroy the infrastructure as a bell crashes to the floor. We then are instructed to take the bell all the way back home. The bell itself has been teased throughout the game as a church bell goes off in the background occasionally during gameplay. All the residents of the areas we've massacred chase us as the bell clings and clangs as we move. So off we go through every area. And this is a fun way to reflect on our journey, at the innocent lives we've annoyed and regions we've ruined forever. We run back to the tutorial area that started it all off, only for us to drop our bell into a large pile of bells we've already collected before. And that's Untitled Goose Game. Look, is the ending that deep? Not really, but it has this beautiful quality that rounds everything together. Like the game delivering its final punchline. We've gone on this whole quest to simply steal a bell, and we just like stealing bells because they make loud noises. After the credits roll, a new set of items to mark off the to-do list are unlocked. So while there are no new areas, these tasks are much trickier and even include items from different parts of the map, having you really think about the solutions. It may disappoint some to hear that this is an excellent example of an extremely finely crafted yet really short game. While I don't mind the short length, I prefer shorter games as they are less of a time investment on my end. There admittedly isn't a ton of playtime in this game, and that may be a turnoff with a $20 price tag. But how I see it, the game was a joy to experience, with a visually appealing art style, a fun and unique premise, and no bugs. Well, except for the groundskeeper AI tweaking here, it's more funny than game breaking. The best thing about Untitled Goose Game to me is that its quality should inspire other developers. Many games nowadays can feel pressure to release during a specific window to catch the internet hype. Or lots of games excel in certain departments, like having a unique art direction. Bending in the ink machine is a good example, but not many other elements come together cleanly. Untitled Goose Game could have easily fallen into this trap, but instead, it's turned into one of my favorite indie games. One that doesn't try to wow you with a gripping story or orchestral musical score. It knows exactly what it is, and you know what? It's remained a favorite of mine all these years later with its perfectly executed premise.
Quebec is a swing province!